With the recent introduction of brand new kuriboh monsters, I thought I'd do an update to an original video that I had for the Archetype. So, kuriboh is an archetype used throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Most of its members are level 1 monsters with 300 attack and 200 defense. The archetype also contains a sub-archetype known as winged kuriboh. In the anime, kuriboh monsters are notable for being the spirit partners of the main characters. A few episodes point out that kuriboh monsters have special connections to the main characters who own various versions of this card. For example, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugimoto started with kuriboh, which he could discard to reduce battle damage that he would take from his opponent to 0, as well as use cards such as Multiply to protect him from battle. He uses Clear Kuriboh in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. He can discard it to negate a damage-dealing monster effect, or banish it from the graveyard to potentially prevent a direct attack. In Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Jane Yuki's deck includes a winged kuriboh that he received from Yugi. His kuriboh strategy focuses on summoning winged kuriboh level 10 with transcendent wings and tributing it to wipe out the opponent's attack position monsters and inflict damage. His manga counterpart also has winged kuriboh level 9, which restricts the use of spell cards when his winged kuriboh is destroyed. All battle damage he takes that turn becomes 0. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's manga, Yusei Fudo uses Junk Kuriboh in his deck. He can discard it to negate any damage that would make his life points 0 and destroy that card. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, Yuma Tsukumo was gifted Kuribolt as well as other anti-Xyz cards after impressing Roku with his skills as well as his dedication to his monsters. Yuma can use its summoning ability to depower an enemy Xyz monsters as well as summon a new monster to his field. He later obtains Rainbow Kuriboh during his time in Astral World, which was his father's card, and quickly forms a bond with it. Yuma would use its first effect to prevent his opponent from attacking him, and would later activate its second effect, or special summoning itself, to protect himself from direct attacks. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 manga, Yuya Sakaki uses Performapal Kuriboh, which can prevent a direct attack, negate battle damage, and recover life points equal to the negated damage. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, even though he does not use it in his main deck, Yusaku Fujiki used 3 copies of Spear Kuriboh as shields during his infiltration of Soul Technologies' databank. Link Kuriboh would later cameo in an explanation on Link monsters. Yusaku would later meet and obtain the Link Kuriboh card after reuniting with AI when the latter returned from the Cyverse world. Yusaku uses Link Kuriboh's effect, lowering his opponent's attack points to 0, therefore making the attack useless and preventing Bowman's attempts at victory. In terms of its playing style, kuriboh monsters are generally defensive in nature, and on their own they tend to prevent battle damage from occurring to the user. However, some of their support cards allow them to rapidly turn the tables upon the opponent, such as the powerful Winged Kuriboh level 10 and Detonate. Most kuriboh monsters have 200 defense points, so Flamvel Pone would be perfect for searching your deck for them. So far, all non-monster support cards for the kuriboh monsters are quick play spell cards, allowing them to function quickly in a themed deck. The monster Dystopia the Despondent works very well with kuriboh decks, as the majority of them are level 1. So in terms of the members, we'll have the breakdown of these cards right now. Astral Kuriboh is a light attribute level 1 fiend type effect monster with 100 attack and 100 defense. Its effect is you can reveal 1 number Xyz monster in your extra deck, special summon this card from your hand. If you do, this card's level becomes the revealed monster's rank. Also, while it is face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except number Xyz monsters. You can only use this effect of Astral Kuriboh once per turn. A number Xyz monster that was summoned using this card on the field as material gains this effect. Cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. Just by revealing a number Xyz monster in the extra deck, you're instantly able to special summon this card, and then treat this card as that monster's level based on its rank. So if you reveal a rank 4 monster, this becomes a level 4, and so on. Provided this has been summoned and is in the monster zone, it does limit you from using anything from your extra deck outside of number Xyz monsters, so you will be running that type of deck. It's useful because it also grants an ability as long as it's part of the materials on the summoning of the number exceeds monster. Being able to grant the cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects allows your number exceeds monster to sustain itself for longer. Clear Kuriboh is a light attribute level 1 fairy type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. When your opponent activates a monster effect that would inflict damage, as a quick effect, you can discard this card, negate the activation. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, draw one card, and if it is a monster, you can special summon it, then change the attack target to it. You can only use this effect of Clear Kuriboh once per turn. The first part of the effect is a little bit niche because it requires your opponent's monster effect to inflict burn damage. It's not specific to allowing you to have this apply through spell or traps. It has to be directly through monster effects. This can have the instant discard, which, unlike some of the others which focus on more battle negation, this is more of an effect burn reduction ability. But as long as this card is in the graveyard, not only do you get to banish it to draw an additional card, but provided that card is a monster, you can then special summon it and redirect an attack. It is conditional on a direct attack, which does make it a bit of a concern. Dark Kuriboh is a dark attribute level 1 fiend type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. When a fiend monster and or fusion monster you control are targeted for an attack, or a card or an effect is activated that targets them, as a quick effect, you can discard this card, then target one of those monsters. Until the end of this turn, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Also, its effects activated in the monster zone cannot be negated. If this card is sent from the hand to the graveyard by card effect, you can add one polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Dark Kuriboh once per turn. This is intended as an evil hero support card and very much within the evil heroes and the Supreme King Jaden, because it relates to both fiend monsters, which most of the fusion monsters he has are. It also works with cards such as Evil Hero Prodigy and the other ones, and the fusion monsters it has, and works both when your monster is attacked and targeted for an attack, or by being targeted by an effect. This gives your monster the ability to be protected from being destroyed by battle or card effects, and its own effects are protected for the turn, and if it is sent to the graveyard from the hand, so even by its first ability, you're instantly able to search for a polymerization card, and it either gets recovered from the graveyard back to the hand, or it comes straight from your deck. Detonating Kuriboh is a dark attribute level 1 fiend type effect monster. It has 300 attack and 200 defense. If a Kuriboh monster card is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you can equip this card you control to that opponent's monster as an equipped spell with the following effect. The equipped monster's effects are negated. You can only use each effect of Detonating Kuriboh once per turn. This is an anime style of card which was brought out during the duel between the finals of Maximilian Pegasus vs. Yugi. It was designed so that the Kuriboh would, when it was kind of sucked up by the Thousand Eyes, restrict to stop it from being able to do anything, and he combined it with Detonate to destroy that monster. This has a similar ability so long as you have a Kuriboh monster on your field. This instantly gets special summoned from the hand, and when an opponent's monster tries to use its effect, it then gets equipped, and that then negates its abilities. So if it's a weak monster with a powerful effect, it actually gets the downside from this card being out. Galactic Kuriboh is a light attribute level 1 fiend type effect monster. It has 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as a galaxy card. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card, special summon one Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand or deck. Then change the attack target to it. Then you can attach this card from the graveyard to one Xyz monster on the field as material. If a Photon or Galaxy monster you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. The reason that it's treated as a Galaxy card is so that it works within the Photon Galaxy archetypes that were used by Kite Tenjo in Yu-Gi-Oh! Xeon. The design is, as soon as an opponent's monster declares an attack, just by discarding this card, you instantly get to special summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, which is the boss monster of Kite, either from the hand or the deck. The attack target gets changed to that Galaxy Eyes, which can either choose to use its ability to banish both monsters from the field to the banish piles, and then they get brought back to the field during the end phase of the turn, or it can just run over that opponent's monster, ideally, and you can then attach this card from the graveyard to one of your Xyz monsters as a material, therefore it's able to use its ability. Provided a Photon or Galaxy monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you're able to substitute the destruction by using this card instead, so it provides a level of protection for your Galaxy monsters and your Photons. Junk Kuriboh is a Earth attribute level 1 machine type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. When your opponent activates a card or effect that will inflict damage to you, as a quick effect you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This is a card that wasn't technically used by Yusei Fudo, but it was within the manga. It's an Earth attribute and machine types, which are very synonymous with what Yusei tends to run, any combination of those, and as soon as the opponent tries to activate an effect that would inflict damage to you, so this is less specific. You can use it when either a spell, a monster, or a trap effect would cause burn damage. That can instantly zero out that card, as well as destroy it. Kuriboh is the original Kuriboh monster that was used by Yami Yugi. It's a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. During a damage calculation, if your opponent's monster attacks, as a quick effect you can discard this card. You take no battle damage from that battle. It just basically zeroes out one level of battle damage that you're going to take, so you're going to want to do this at the point where you would have taken the most damage to capitalize off this monster's effect. Kuriboh is a light attribute level 1 fiend type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. At the end of the battle phase, you can discard this card, then target one monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle and sent there this turn. Special summon it. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target any number of Kuriboh monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. This is able to revive any of your monsters that happen to have been destroyed by battle and sent there this turn, but it is only one monster, so you need to be mindful of choosing the right target. It gets to instantly be special summoned from the graveyard, and since this happens at the end of the battle phase, your opponent cannot go into additional attacks. So long as an opponent's monster declares an attack, just by banishing this, you are able to revive a variety of different Kuriboh monsters in your graveyard, and they get special summoned, so it's useful to have multiple of this card. Link Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute Link 1 Cyberse Link effect monster with 300 attack. It requires one level 1 monster. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can attribute this card, change that opponent's monster's attack to 0 until the end of this turn. If this card is in your graveyard, as a quick effect you contribute one level 1 monster, special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Link Kuriboh once per turn. This is one of a couple of extra deck monsters that happen to be Kuriboh based, the other one being the trap protection variation on it, and they're both Link monsters. It's fine for its summon condition, as all of the Kuriboh monsters are level 1s outside of the level 6, the level 9, and the level 10, which are the Wing Kuriboh variants. Just by attributing this card as an opponent's monster declares an attack, it gets changed to 0. That means you might as well stop the attack on declaration, as the monster can't do anything. It is only until the end of the turn, so there is not a permanent deletion of the monster attack, and provided this card is in the graveyard just by attributing a level 1 monster, this card can be special summoned. This is a reoccurring effect, given that it can do this once during each of your turns, and it's not a once per duel type of ability. Magic Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type effect monster. It has 300 attack and 200 defense. During the main or battle phase, if you took damage by battle or an opponent's card effect this turn, as a quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon 1 Dark Magician or 1 Dark Magician Girl from your deck or graveyard. If a face-up spellcaster monster you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can add this card from the graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Magic Kuriboh once per turn. This one is designed specifically to work in combination with your Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. The original Kuriboh really didn't synergize with anything, it could just be splashed into anything, but this is Archetype led. I mean, you can see from the design how it is and why it has relations to both of those cards. Provided you take damage by battle or an opponent's card effect, just by discarding this card, you instantly get to special summon either a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, so it's an instant access to your key cards for the deck, and so long as a face-up spellcaster monster is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, this card gets recovered back to the hand to then hopefully trigger off its ability once again. Performval Barrow Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 8 Fiend type Pendulum effect monster with 300 attack and 3000 defense. Pendulum scale is 1. The Pendulum monster effect is once per turn at the start of the battle phase, where you can add 1 monster with 300 attack and 200 defense from your deck to your hand, then destroy this card. The monster ability is when your monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card from your hand. Your opponent's monsters cannot target monsters for attacks, except this one. If this card is attacked, change it to attack position at the end of the damage step. This is a little bit different from the other Kuriboh monsters in that with its stat line it's a little bit of a difference. It still retains the 300 attack points, but given that it is a level 8 monster, it justifies why it has 3000 defense points, as opposed to the 200 which is standard. It's a pendulum scale of 1, so anything that is level 2 or above can technically be summoned just by having this as one of the pendulum scales. And the pendulum effect itself, just as soon as it's the start of the battle phase, you're able to search for a monster with 300 attack and 200 defense, so that's mostly Kuriboh types of monsters, and then this just gets instantly destroyed. With the monster ability, so long as a monster has been destroyed by battle, this card can be special summoned from the hand, and your opponent's monsters cannot target any other cards for attacks beyond this card, so this has to be the first monster that has been attacked. It has the disadvantage of when it has been attacked, it has to be changed from defense mode to attack position, so it has the same problems as something like Big Shield Gardener, but I suppose that's necessary so it's balanced in its effect. Performval class Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type Pendulum effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. The Pendulum scale is 8, and the Pendulum effect is when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, this card is destroyed. The monster effect is if this card is destroyed by its own Pendulum effect, end the battle phase. You can only use each of the following effects of Performval class Kuriboh once per turn. You can discard this card, then target one card in your Pendulum zone. Its Pendulum scale becomes 1 until the end of this turn. When you take battle damage while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. So with this, it has a lot of recursion through its own abilities, and because it's part of the Performval archetype, it is something that could technically be used by a Yuya Sakaki from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. These are two of the pendulum scales, so you've got a scale 1 and a scale 8, so you can technically by having those 2 cards, special summon from your hand monsters between the levels of 2 and 7. The Pendulum effect just has this card be destroyed, but with the monster effect that then applies from its Pendulum effect. As soon as it's been destroyed by its own effect, the battle phase is ended, so you might as well just prevent any further attacks from happening from you, and this ability can only be used just once in the turn. By discarding this card, you can choose a Pendulum monster in your Pendulum zone, and the scale becomes 1. This helps you to Pendulum summon a variety of higher monsters if needs be. And as soon as you take any battle damage and this card is already in your graveyard, it gets placed back into the Pendulum zone to then use its abilities once again. For Felmapal, Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type effect monster. It has 300 attack and 200 defense. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, change the attack target to this card and proceed to damage calculations. If you would take battle damage from the battle, you gain that much life points instead. With this, it responds, again, it's a Felmapal monster, so it will work with Yu-Gi-Oh! Sakaki and his archetypes. As soon as a direct attack happens, this card gets special summoned from the hand, and then the attack is forced on this monster. You are able to then gain the battle damage you would have taken as life points instead, so you don't actually have to take the damage and then recover the life points. You're instantly able to gain additional life points. It's fine and it's quite useful for the deck. Rainbow Kuriboh is a light attribute level 1 Fiend type effect monster. It has 100 attack and 100 defense. You can only use each effect of Rainbow Kuriboh once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target that attacking monster, equip this card from your hand to that monster, it cannot attack. Or when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. The first part of the effect enables you to negate a monster from being able to attack whilst it's equipped, so it's whenever the monster has to attack, it's not dependent on whether it's a direct attack or an attack into your monsters. Secondary ability relies on this forces a condition where your opponent has to declare a direct attack with one of their monsters, and this card has to be in your graveyard. It gets special summoned, but bear in mind, even though it will protect your life points, that it gets banished once it leaves the field through this ability. Relin Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. If this card is tributed, draw 1 card. If your monster would be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. It's designed to work with ritual-based strategies, or even to tribute over to bring out something like Dark Magician Girl, as that instantly allows you to draw a card. Provided your monster is threatened by being destroyed by battle, you can substitute the destruction for this card by just banishing it. Spear Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type effect monster. It has 300 attack and 200 defense. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, change the attacking monster to defense position. When you ritual summon, you can banish the card from your graveyard as one of the monsters required for the ritual summon. The first part of the effect allows you to just change the attacking monster to defense position. This stops the monster from being able to attack for the remainder of the turn, unless they have something like Zero Gravity, which switches the monster back into attack position. It switches battle modes, and as soon as you ritual summon, you're just able to use this as one of the costs necessary for the ritual summon. It's not necessarily that good, as it's only a level 1 monster, and if you were to ritual summon for example, the Black Magician of Chaos, that requires level 7, so at minimum you're still needing quite a bit of support. The Flute of Summon Kuriboh is a quick play spell card. Take 1 Kuriboh or 1 Winged Kuriboh from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. I wish they'd actually advanced the naming of this card to apply it to all of your kuriboh monsters, because as it is, it only works directly with 2 monsters. If you choose the kuriboh as it is, you're probably going to want to add that to your hand, as then you can use its effect to make your next lot of battle damage 0. If you choose the winged kuriboh, you'll most likely want to have that special summon to the field, as when that's destroyed in battle, then it will 0 out any more battle damage you'll take for the remainder of the turn. Winged kuriboh is a light attribute level 1 fairy type effect monster. It has 300 attack and 200 defense. If this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, for the rest of this turn you take no battle damage. So this destruction can happen either through card effect or by being destroyed by battle. This effectively ends the battle phase for the opponent. Winged kuriboh level 10 is a light attribute level 10 fairy type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and must be special summoned with transcendent wings. During your opponent's battle phase, as a quick effect, you can tribute this face-up card, destroy as many attack position monsters your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the combined original attack of those destroyed monsters. This is an advanced version of the winged kuriboh, but it does require quite a few cards to set it up. You need the winged kuriboh originally on the field, you need transcendent wings, which requires another discard of 2 cards as well as its own activation, and it activates its ability during the opponent's battle phase. Just by tributing this, you're wiping out all of your opponent's monsters that are in attack position, and they take enough damage through the total number of their monsters with their combined attack points. So the more monsters they have out, the more powerful their monsters, the more damage you can do, which may be enough to close out a game. Winged kuriboh level 6 is a light attribute level 6 fairy type effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as an elemental hero and favourite card. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 1 elemental hero, fusion monster, or 1 winged kuriboh from your hand, face-up field, or graveyard. You can only special summon winged kuriboh level 6 once per turn this way. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, or if your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, as a quick effect you can tribute this card, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. The reason this has to be treated as both an elemental hero and favourite card is so that it's searchable throughout either parts of the deck. It's a level 6, which requires you to banish a elemental hero fusion monster, so if you're running that type of deck, you're going to do that very quickly, or a winged kuriboh monster from the hand, face-up field, or graveyard. Both conditions are pretty easy, just to then special summon this monster. And when your opponent declares an attack, or they activate a monster effect, just by tributing this card, you can destroy 1 monster, and they take a level of burn damage equivalent to that monster's original attack, which is fine, but your opponent is probably going to run over this card initially before then, but that's fine, as its effect can work as either effect activation or when it's been targeted for an attack. Winged kuriboh level 9 is a light attribute level 9 fairy type effect monster. It has question mark attack and question mark defense. Activate only as chain link 3 or higher. As a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Spell cards that have been activated are banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. The attack and defense of this card are each equal to the number of spells in your opponent's graveyard, times 500. You can only control 1 winged kuriboh level 9. This card can instantly special summon itself, provided it's part of a chain link of 3, so that can actually be quite easy to do. And spell cards that have been activated are banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. It's beneficial in if they have double utility from the graveyard, that can stop those from working, or for your opponent from recovering those cards. And this card becomes equivalent to the number of spells in your opponent's graveyard times 500, so the more spell cards they use, the more powerful this card becomes. The downside is, because its first part of its effect means your opponent's spell cards are then continually banished, you're not then able to fuel this monster up any further. And Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster, level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card, then target one monster in either graveyard, except this card, special summon it to your field, but send it to the graveyard during the end phase. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one monster reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. During the end phase of this turn, you can only use each effect of Kuriboh once per turn. So with this, just when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you're able to discard this card and choose a monster in either graveyard. Provided it's not this card, it gets special summoned to your field, and that can be used to protect your life points for the duration of the turn, but on the condition that it gets sent back to the graveyard at the end phase, so it is a one and done type of ability. When this card is destroyed either by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, so it does have to meet that condition, you can then search for a monster reborn from your deck or graveyard and it goes back to your hand, but it only does this during the end phase of the turn, so it can't be used during the same turn of its effect's activation. Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster. It's a level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as a Kuriboh card. When this card or another Kuriboh monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon one monster with 300 attack and 200 defense from your deck except Kuriboh. You can only use this effect of Kuriboh once per turn. You can tribute this card you control and one each of Kuribi, Kuriboh, Kuribay, and Kuriboh from your hand and or field. Special summon one Kuribabylon from your hand, deck, graveyard. Since this treats itself as a Kuriboh card, it synergizes with the rest of the deck, but that's quite common if they don't have an exacting name structure. When this or another Kuriboh monster happens to be destroyed by battle, you instantly just get to special summon a monster provided it has the attack and defense of 300 to 200, except another copy of itself. That's fine as it just lets you special summon a replacement monster. By tributing this card and each of the various cards, you can then choose a Kuribabylon and it gets special summoned, which is fine because that will then have its own abilities that can trigger off from it. Kuribi is a Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster, level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as a Kuriboh card. When this card or another Kuriboh monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can add one spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that lists the card Kuriboh in its text. You can only use this effect of Kuribi once per turn. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, while you control another Kuriboh monster, you can change the attack of all other monsters you control to 0 until the end of this turn, and if you do, negate that attack. As soon as this card or another Kuriboh monster happens to be threatened by battle, you instantly get to search for a spell or trap card that mentions Kuriboh in the text, so it does actually help search. And as soon as a monster your opponent controls tries to attack and you have another Kuriboh monster, just by changing the attack of all monsters you control to 0, you get to negate the attack, so it does have a level of protection for your own monsters. Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute level 1 Fiend type monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as a Kuriboh card. As a quick effect, you can discard this card, then target one Kuriboh monster you control. It gains 1500 attack. You contribute this card you control and one each of Kuriboh, Kuribi, Kuriboh, and Kuriboh from your hand and or field. Add one Kuribandit from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one Fiend monster from your hand. This can boost up your Kuriboh monsters, so it can actually make any of your Kuribohs 1800 attack, but it also works on the other Kuriboh cards that can treat themselves as Kuriboh. And I think there are a couple of them that are initially with 1500 attack points and can then become a 3000 attack monster. This also has an ability similar to another one. With kuriboh that could bring out Babylon, this one can go for the Kuri Bandit by tributing the various monsters listed. This also has the chance to let you normal summon in addition with one fiend monster from your hand. It's most likely going to be another kuriboh style monster, but you can actually technically use any fiends. It's not specific to attack or defense or level requirements. Kuriboh is a Dark Attribute Fiend type level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. This card is always treated as a kuriboh card. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card, add one kuriboh monster from your deck to your hand, except kuriboh. Once per turn, as a quick effect, you can discard this one card, one trap, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1500 attack until the end of this turn. So with the first part of the effect, you are just able to discard this to search for any kuriboh monster, and it goes from the deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. But this can only be activated as soon as the opponent decides to go into a monster attack. By discarding a trap card, and you're able to take a face-up monster your opponent controls, it loses 1500 attack points. But the only downside is you do need to have a trap card, so it can be quite difficult for you to have the requirements to meet this condition. Kuri Babylon is a Dark Attribute Fiend type level 5 effect monster with 1500 attack and 1000 defense. It gains 300 attack and defense for each kuriboh monster you control and in your graveyard. You can only use one of the following effects of Kuri Babylon per turn and only once that turn. If you have more monsters in your graveyard than your opponent, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main or battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon 5 monsters, 1 kuriboh, 1 kuriboh, 1 kuriboh, 1 kuriboh, and 1 kuriboh from your hand and or graveyard in attack position. Initially, this card gains 300 attack and defense for each kuriboh monster that you control and in the graveyard. That's fantastic because it's not based on they don't have to be different names. You can just have as many as you have, and it's a combination of your graveyard and on the field, so you can capitalize on having this card. Ideally, you want it above the 3000 threshold to make it a bit more of a threat. So long as your opponent has more monsters in their if you have more monsters in your graveyard than your opponent, this card gets to be special summoned without having to use any special requirements or to actually have to tribute over this monster. But it also allows you to return this card back to the hand and special summon the 5 monsters. They come from either hand and or graveyard, so if you pitched them or used them earlier, then those can be used for additional tribute requirements in the future. They do have to come back in attack position, so that can be concerning as they all have only 300 attack points, but there are enough cards within the deck to be able to protect your life points. Kuri Bandit is a Dark Attribute level 3 Fiend type effect monster. It has 1000 attack and 700 defense. During the end phase, if this card was normal summon this turn, you can tribute this card, excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. You can add 1 excavated spell or trap card to your hand, also send the remaining cards to the graveyard. This, when it was initially released, was extremely popular because any of your spell and trap cards that have double utility effects could work from the graveyard, even if you had to send some of the better ones to that graveyard. You can also choose a particular card, and it helps to shuffle your deck in a way that you know what you're kind of going to draw into and be safer with that type of ability. The concern of this card is that it can only be activated during the end phase on the turn that it's been normal summoned, so it's not that you can select it to be used in the future, which is a massive drawback to its ability. Skilled Brown Magician is a Dark Attribute spellcaster effect level 4 with 300 attack and 200 defense. The effect is each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves, maximum 3, you can remove 1 spell counter from this card, then activate one of these effects. This card gains 1500 attack and its level is increased by 1, or add 1 kuriboh monster or 1 multiply from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect of skilled brown magician once per turn. This is like the other types of magicians. You've got this skilled dark magician, you've got the skilled white magician. There's a couple other ones. I think there's one for Guy the Fierce Knight. Each of these synergizes with its own kind of mini archetype, if you will. And this is directly designed for kuribohs. Once a spell card has been activated, you are able to just generate additional spell counters, so the more you can activate in a turn, maximum 3 in that turn, the more of these counters you have. Just by removing a spell counter, you're able to apply one of these effects, and you can only use each of the effects once per turn, so ideally you are going to want to use both abilities in the same turn. It can become an increase of 1,500 attack points. Might not seem like much given it has 300 initial attack points to start off with, but if you can apply this and keep the monster out on the field for a duration of turns, then it can get steadily more powerful. Just 2 turns and it becomes over a Blue Eyes White Dragon, and the level just continues to increase by 1. The other ability just lets you search for, I don't know why it's a multiply type of ability, it should be any kuriboh related card rather than just specifically that, or any kuriboh monster, and that comes either from the deck or from the graveyard back to your hand. Griffo is the latest support that's come out for the kuriboh archetype. It came out of Chaos Origins, which was just recently released. It's a Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster, level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. As a quick effect, you can discard this card, then activate one of these effects. Either the next battle or effect damage you take this turn will become 0, or you can set one quick play spell or trap that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your deck. It can be activated this turn. You can only use this effect of Griffo once per turn. If you ritual summon exactly one level 8 ritual monster with card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be used as the entire tribute. So you have a choice. The first ability allows you to protect yourself from the next level of damage you would take, whether that be battle or effect damage. But bear in mind, if you use this, it's the next damage you take. So your opponent isn't likely to use their best monster if they're going into direct attacks, as they know that'll be zeroed out. They'll use their weakest monster and then go in with their higher attack monsters. The other ability just lets you choose a quick play spell or trap that has Light and Darkness Ritual in its name, and it can be activated during the turn, so it lets you set that. That's useful as this is part of that Light and Darkness Ritual archetype, which includes the Dark Magician of Chaos and the Blackluster Soldier. The other effect, provided you are to ritual summon exactly one level 8 ritual monster, which the 2 monsters I just mentioned are, with a card effect that needs the use of monsters, so that's what a ritual spell would do. This can just be used as the entire tribute, so you don't actually have to meet the requirements associated with the levels. Kuriboh, the Fairy Spirit, is a light attribute fairy type effect monster. It's a level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. If you control Ancient Fairy Dragon or a light monster, beast, plant, or fairy, you can express summon this card from your hand, and if you do, it is treated as a tuner. If another card you control that is Ancient Fairy Dragon or a monster you mentions it would be destroyed by a card effect, you can return this card you control to the hand instead. You can only use each effect of Kuriboh, the Fairy Spirit, once per turn. This is an upgrade to the original Kuriboh, which was used by Luna in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. She was kind of one of the signers, but she was one of the smaller ones and had a link to the spirit world, the dual monster spirit world, and with her synchro monster being the Ancient Fairy Dragon, which makes sense given that this can instantly special summon itself so long as you've got either that or a light monster that happens to also be typings of beast, plant, or fairy. Those are the monsters she has within the archetype, so it synergizes well. And when you do this, the monster is then treated as a tuner. This helps you to go into additional synchro plays. Provided an Ancient Fairy Dragon or a monster that mentions it would be destroyed by card effect, this card gets instantly returned from the field back to the hand instead, so it does have the recoverability. and we'll have a look at the original monster as well, because that's technically what you need to have a look at. It's fine as a monster. I mean, it literally just gives you life point returns every time. Yeah, during damage calculation, if this card is attacked by your opponent's monster, you can activate this effect. You take no battle damage from that battle. Your opponent gains life points equal to the attacking monster's attack. Also, you return this card to the hand. So the idea is that you're able to constantly bring back your monsters and to prevent you from taking any battle damage from a battle, but the problem and downside of this is you're constantly going to be giving your opponents life points, and those life points will stack up over time. Kuriboh is a light attribute thunder effect monster, level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. You can target one Xyz monster that has material, detach one material from it, and if you do, special summon one kuriboh from your deck. It cannot be used as synchro material. This is another card that was used within Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, and it's specifically for Xyz monsters. It's interesting because most of the kuriboh monsters are either fiend types or fairy types. I think Junk Kuriboh is a machine type, so it's kind of one of those off ones, but other than that typically this being a thunder is more because of the design of the card rather than generally working as an archetypal card. I mean, I don't even think it really works with the archetype. It's more Xyz based. Just by targeting a Xyz monster on the field, you're able to detach a material from it, so it can reduce the number of times it can use its Xyz effect, and you can then summon a kuriboh from your deck. This will help you to go into further Link 1 Xyz plays, but, or you can actually use it for an Xyz monster as well, for a rank 1 Xyz monster. It only stipulates that you cannot use it as synchro material. Link Kuriboh is a dark attribute Cyverse Link effect monster. Its link point is on the bottom left with 300 attack points. It requires a level 4 or lower Cyverse monster. When your opponent activates a trap card as a quick effect, you contribute this card, negate that card's effect, and if you do, banish it. If this card is in your graveyard, as a quick effect, you contribute one Archetype monster that was summoned from the extra deck. Special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Link Kuriboh once per turn. This is pretty easy to bring out because it only needs a level 4 or lower Cyverse monster, and it works its ability as soon as your opponent activates a trap card. Just by tributing this monster, you can negate that card's effect, and it gets banished, so your opponent will find it more difficult for them to recover those traps. This card, when it's in your graveyard, just by tributing an Archetype monster that was summoned from the extra deck, this card can be special summoned, so it can actually reoccur its abilities, but it has to be designed within a specific archetype, as the Archetypes are. Berserker Crush is a quick play spell card. Its effect is to banish one monster from your graveyard, then target one winged kuriboh you control. That target's attack and defense become equal to the attack and defense of the monster that was banished until the end of this turn. So this is a way of getting your kuriboh monsters into decent attack points, but it has to be specifically on the winged kuriboh, which I hate that. I think if they'd been more generic, it would be more useful as a card. It copies the attack and defense points of whatever you happen to be banished, and it can be used during yours or your opponent's turn. So it can either be used to try and clear your opponent's monsters, or it can be used if your winged kuriboh is going to be targeted for an attack. The more powerful the monster, the more powerful the winged kuriboh will be. So if you banished a Blue Eyes White Dragon, then it would mimic the 3,000 attack points, 2,500 defense points of that Blue Eyes White Dragon. Detonate is a quick play spell card. Its effect is destroy as many kuriboh and kuriboh tokens you control as possible, then destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of cards destroyed by this effect. The more of these cards you can generate, typically if you have multiply, then that actually synergizes with this to be able to wipe out a number of your opponent's cards, and all you're investing are either the tokens or a combination of the tokens and the kuriboh monsters. which are not too difficult as opposed to if your opponent has extra cards that they've had to use heavy resources to bring out. 5-star Twilight is a normal spell card. If the only monster you control is one level 5 monster, tribute that monster, special summon 5 monsters, 1 Kuriboh, 1 kuriboh, 1 kuriboh, 1 kuriboh, and 1 kuriboh from your hand, deck, and or graveyard, but they cannot be attributed for a tribute summon. You can only activate 1 5-star Twilight per turn. This is designed to work with the kuriboh, which is a level 5 monster, but you can technically pair this with others. For example, within Yami Yugi's deck, he had the Baphomet, and there was Jack's Knight as other examples, but it can generally splash so long as you have other level 5 monsters within the deck. Even something like Canines could technically do this if you so wished. Multiply is a quick play spell card. Tribute 1 face-up Kuriboh, special summon as many Kuriboh tokens, Fiend, Dark, level 1, attack 300, defense 200 as possible in defense position. They cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. So you would use this with Detonate to get rid of all your opponent's cards. It's the general combo that's used. And by getting rid of your face-up Kuriboh, you can make up to 5 tokens, so with the effect, you can destroy up to 5 cards with Detonate. It's one of the oldest support cards used for Kuriboh, and explains why the design is what it is. Transcendent Wings is a quick play spell card. Send 1 face-up or face-down winged Kuriboh you control and 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard, special summon 1 winged Kuriboh level 10 from your hand or deck. This requires quite a few cards in order to use its ability for the winged Kuriboh level 10. It needs this specific card, it needs a winged Kuriboh, and it can't just be any Kuriboh, it has to be specifically a winged Kuriboh, and you need to get rid of 2 cards from your hand to trigger off that ability. The winged Kuriboh level 10 can attribute itself to destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total combined amount, but that's a lot of conditions and a lot of requirements to meet that need. Sabatiel, the Philosopher's Stone, is a normal spell card. This effect is if you have a winged Kuriboh monster in your graveyard, pay half your life points, add 1 polymerization spell or fusion spell from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 3 copies of Sabatiel, the Philosopher's Stone, from your graveyard, then target 1 monster on the field. It gains attack equal to the attack of that monster on the field with the highest attack, your choice if tied, until the end of this turn. This was used in the duel with Kagemaru against Jane Yuki, and it was basically one of the final duels of the season, and it was the one against the main villain for Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 1. This was given to Jaden by Amnael, who was Professor Banner, and that was also the 7th Shadow Rider. When he won, he got Amnael's tome, and within it the card slipped out and he added it into his deck. It works only specifically if you have a winged Kuriboh monster in your graveyard. By paying half your life points, you get to instantly search for either a polymerization spell or fusion spell from the deck to the hand. So that's good because Jane would constantly fuse using those cards. And provided this card is in your graveyard, you do have to banish 3 copies of this, so you would technically need to search this constantly. Your monster then gains attack equal to the attack of the monster on the field with the highest attack. You can technically control that if you have the highest monster attack points yourself, or if your opponent has, but it's not enough to do sufficient damage to your opponent. This is currently the existing list we have for the Kuriboh archetype. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just think it's very long-winded and it's not synergistic enough. Most of the spell and trap support, well, we don't really have any trap support, needs to be designed with all Kuriboh monsters in mind, and they need to be found in a way that can combine the archetype rather than just being indiscriminate types of support for random decks here, there, and everywhere. I'd love to know what you think of these cards in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video, it really helps support the channel, and if you can watch a video at the end screen or on the main channel itself, that would help to boost my watch time. Thank you.